Hi, it's Wendy from Shiny Happy World. Happy August. I've got a few things to show you this month, things that I'm really excited about, some things that are done and some things that are coming really soon, and one thing that's coming later this month. But first I have to show you the new Ami Club pattern for the month. This is Walter the Water Buffalo, and I'm really excited with how he turned out. I named him Walter after my grandfather, and that's why he's wearing such high-waisted swimming trunks, because my grandfather lived at a time when men wore their pants very, very high-waisted. So Walter has very high-waisted swimming trunks. If you want yours to have a little bit more of a modern look, you can just switch back to the buffalo color a little bit earlier than I did. You could probably even go lose about 4 rows of that, and it would still be decently covering swim trunks. So that is Walter, but that's not all, because he's a water buffalo, but he doesn't quite know how to swim. So he has a swim ring, which is super fun to crochet, by the way. This is a really fun shape to crochet. And the swim ring does, of course, fit Walter perfectly, so he can go swimming. Oh, I pulled on one of his legs there. So he can go swimming. So that is a really, really fun guy to crochet. He's got standing legs, so that's a pretty basic crochet thing. The arms are crocheted in, but you are going to have to attach the horns and the ears with a little bit of whip stitch, but that's not hard to do. And you do have to attach the head to the body. So he's pretty simple to crochet, and the swim ring, which seems like it's going to be kind of a complicated shape, is actually really simple, and there's just one seam on the inside to sew it all together, but it's really all just increasing and decreasing. So a pretty simple pattern this month, and if you're wondering, he's pretty much scaled to match Haley Hippo. So if you had the two of them side by side, they would kind of be about the same size. So if you've got the Haley Hippo pattern already, these two guys will go together pretty well. Which brings me to the second thing that I've got to tell you this month. So we just finished a beach crochet along, which this guy would have worked with the beach crochet along with his little swim ring. But this month we are starting a safari crochet along, or craft along. So it's not just crochet, it's all of the crafts. I don't have any safari embroidery patterns, but we do have a bunch of crochet patterns and a quilt pattern that's all different safari animals, and also several stuffed animal patterns that are sewn. So we've got an elephant, we've got a monkey, and we've also got some hand sewn little felt softy patterns. We've got a lion and a hippo and a zebra. So there's a lot of different range of projects for all you guys who have different kind of crafty interests. And that craft along is going to run for August and September. So you'll have lots of time to make your awesome safari critters. As always with our craft alongs, you can use any pattern from Shiny Happy World or Fresh Stitches as long as it is a safari animal. And I'm kind of looking for like classic safari animals. And I'll have a link below this that groups to get to a section of the shop that I've created that groups together all of our safari patterns so that you can find them all in one place. So that is what's going on with the new Ami Club pattern and the new craft along. And if you're pretty observant and can see through my head, you'll see there's no sewing machine behind me this week. That's because my sewing machine is in for her routine cleaning and repair, which makes it gone for 4 weeks, which is really, really hard. But the upside is that I get a lot of handwork done, and I finished all of the stitching on this project. If you guys remember, I showed this to you months ago. This has been months in progress. I'm going to scooch this in close so you can see some of the hand stitching on it. So there's not a ton of stitching in the cat, but there's lots of stitching in that border around him, including lots of French knots, all mixed in with those lighter pink polka dots. So this was lots and lots of fun to make. And I'm working on a tutorial that's going to be free on the site. If you think of this as a frame, and you could easily leave off the striped parts if you wanted to just have a square framed piece. And the square would be 12 by 12. This whole piece is 12 by 18, but the square is 12 by 12, and they sell 12 by 12 frames. So you could just use the parts with the little pinwheel blocks as a frame, or you could make it bigger and include the striped bits at the top and the bottom. but you could put any of my applique patterns. You'll need to shrink it down a little bit, and I'll give you some instructions on that, but you could put any of my applique patterns in that frame. So what I'm putting together as a tutorial is how to do the frame, both just the smaller square frame with the pinwheel blocks and also the larger option with those stripes. So that way you could do handwork. For those of you who really like to do handwork, you could take any of my regular quilt applique patterns and do it up in felt with lots and lots of hand stitching around it. And I really, really enjoyed this, so I'm going to do another one with a very similar layout. I'll probably do something besides the polka dots behind it. I like the idea of thinking of what's behind the faces as kind of wallpaper, like this is a frame. So I'm going to be playing with this idea a little bit more for some other felt projects and ways to adapt all of my quilt patterns, all of those faces, into other projects, especially for people who really like to do a lot of handwork. So look for that tutorial probably next week up on the website. I thought I was going to get it done this week, but I didn't quite get to it with all of the Ami Club finalizations that I needed to do. So that'll be up next week, and again, it's going to be a free tutorial that you'll be able to use with any of my regular square block quilt patterns, including several free ones that I have available on the site. So that is something that is coming very, very soon. I've got one more thing to tell you about that I am so excited about. It's going to come later this month though, but if you look behind me on that bulletin board, you can see that cow in the little Polaroid frame? One of the things that I'm working on is different ways that you can set the same square block. So I have lots and lots of patterns that are square blocks. They're usually a close-up of a face in a square block, and most of my patterns have 12 of those blocks. Ever since I started the Funny Faces Quilt Block of the Month Club, I've been getting more and more requests from people to sell individual block patterns from my regular group, like bundle quilt patterns. I did that once before, many, many years ago, and honestly, it was a dud. Nobody bought any, like literally nobody bought any. But more and more people are asking for that. And I was thinking that if I make more, I do have now a lot more projects that you can make with a single block. So I've got a tutorial that shows you how to make a pillow cover and a tutorial that shows you how to make a couple of different size and shape tote bags. I've got some table runners and other kinds of things that you can make that just use a single block. So now that I have all of those support projects, that are all free tutorials that show you what you can make with one pattern. I did that as a way that you could get more use out of your quilt patterns, so that if you, for example, made a quilt for a baby's room, you could also make a floor pillow using just your favorite block out of that quilt. But you can also just buy a single block pattern and make just that one thing if you want to. But you also would want to make some full-size quilts still, but maybe not with the themed collections that I've put together, but with your own collection of single blocks. So that's what I'm working on right now, are some different ways that you can use those single block patterns in different kind of quilt settings. And the one I am most excited about so far is that Polaroid frame, because I just think that that's super, super fun. So that's going to be the first one that's coming. You can see another one that I'm working on. See that little cat there popping out of a little black frame. So that's another one that's a variation on a technique that I developed for the Mix and Match Monsters quilt pattern back when that was only available as a Craftsy class. So that's another one that I'm working on. But the Polaroid frame is what's coming first. And so I'm hoping to have that, as long as my machine comes back in time, I'll have that tutorial up by the next time we talk in September. So that's what's going on here in August. I hope you guys all have a fabulous month. This is Wendy from Shiny Happy World, and I'll see you next month. Bye.